To make the earrings, you'll need 2 freshwater pearls that are potato shaped, 12 turquoise seed beads, 2 pieces of 26 gauge wire. We're using gold wire and it's 4 inches long each piece, 2 head pins that are gold, 2 earring wires also gold, and then for tools you need round nose pliers and wire cutters. To make each earring, you're going to start with a 4-inch piece of 26 gauge wire. And what we're going to do is make a little circle in the middle of our wire using our round nose pliers. I'm going to place the wire so it's up near the top part of the round nose pliers because that's where it's fattest, and I want to make kind of a big loop. And I'm just going to pull the wire around on both sides like that to make a loop there in our wire. And now what we want to do is feed on 6 of our seed beads. And this is going to make a little bit of a flower design at the top of our earring. So I'm just going to feed on 6 of our seed beads. And we like these seed beads. This style of seed bead is sort of cut flat on the ends. It's not rounded. And we just like how they sit on the wire next to each other. It makes for a really pretty design. And we chose 26 gauge wire for this because we're doing a little bit of wire wrapping, and the wire wrapping is a lot easier with thinner wire, and 26 gauge wire is a pretty thin wire. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads. Here's our 6th seed bead. So we've got all of our seed beads on there, and I'm going to just sort of take my little crisscross of my wires and crisscross it a little bit more to make that circle a little bit smaller so that it fits, so the beads sort of make a circle. And now I want to make a little wrapped loop in the top of my circle, and to do that I'm going to use my round nose pliers to just sort of make a bend in one of the wires. It's like a 90-degree bend next to one of the beads like that. And now I can take the other wire and wrap it around that neck of the other wire. And I'm going to just wrap loosely with this wire like that. It'll make it just like a little bit of a messy wrap. We like how that looks. That's good. I'm going to trim that little end because it's getting a little hard to wrap it around. And with this other end, I'm going to make a loop with my round nose pliers. I'm going to do that just by bending the wire so it's got a 90-degree bend in it. Take my round nose pliers and grasp where that bend is, and I'm going to pull the wire up and over that jaw, the top jaw of my pliers. Reposition my pliers so the bottom of my jaws are in the loop, and pull the wire around to make a loop. And now I'm going to wrap the loop by grasping across the loop like that and pulling the wire around. And I'm just going to wrap that some more like that. We'll get a nice big messy wrap here. It looks artsy. Now I'm going to trim the wire with my wire cutters, like that. And now we've got a little flower made out of our turquoise beads, and I'm going to set that aside and make our little pearl dangle. To do that, I'm going to start with a head pin, take one of my potato-shaped freshwater pearls and slide that on. And now I'm going to make a wrapped loop. And to do that, I'm going to do kind of what I just did. It's a little bit similar. I'm going to use my round nose pliers, and I'm going to grasp the wire right above that potato-shaped freshwater pearl. Bend the wire 90 degrees toward me, like that. I'm going to reposition the pliers so they're at the top of that 90-degree bend, like that. And then take the end of the wire and pull it so it goes up and over the top jaw of my pliers. I'm going to reposition the pliers so the bottom jaw is in the loop, and I'm going to pull the wire around to make a nice round loop, like that. And now before I wrap the loop, like if I was making a normal wrap loop, I would just wrap it now, but instead I'm going to slide this flower into the loop. And what I want to do is make sure that I've got 3 beads on either side of where this loop on our dangle is going to sit. I'll show you what I mean. There we go. So you can see I slid the loop of my bead dangle onto the flower, and I've got 3 turquoise beads on one side and 3 on the other. And now I can wrap that loop. And to do that, I'm going to grasp the loop across using my round nose pliers, and I'm going to pull the tail around to wrap the loop, and I'm going to wrap it a bunch of times again to make another little messy wrap. It'll kind of echo what we did at the top. And this wire of the head pin's a little bit harder than the other wire, so it's a little bit more of a challenge. You can always use chain nose pliers to pull it around if you want, or you can just go as far as you can and then either trim the end or mash it down with a pair of pliers. I'm going to just trim the end like that. And now we've got our little earring, and we can just feed it on to our earring wire. The loop is kind of already open there, like that. And now I'm going to use my round nose pliers to just press the loop closed a little bit more. And we've got one earring done. And now we'll do the same technique to make the second earring. So I'm going to use my round nose pliers to make make the circle in the middle of my wire by crisscrossing the wires over the top jaw at its fattest point. I've got my little circle. I'll feed on the rest of the seed beads. There's 6 left, so this will be the last 6 seed beads to make my flower. So we've got our 6 beads on there, and I'm going to do what I did before, which is make a little sort of wrap loop by bending one of the wires 90 degrees like that, and taking the other wire, and I'm just going to pull it around to make a big messy wrap at the top of our beaded flower here, like that. It's really fun working with this 26 gauge wire because it's so malleable. You can really wrap it like crazy. There we go. I'm going to trim that little end. And if you have any ends sticking up when you're done, you can always use a pair of chain nose pliers to mash it down, or you can use your round nose pliers. I'm going to see if I can flatten that one down a little bit because it's sticking up a little bit and we don't want it poking. There we go. And now we're going to make a wrapped loop at the top of the wire there by making a 90-degree bend like that, and then using our round nose pliers to grasp the wire at the bend, pull the wire up and over that top jaw as far as it'll go, then reposition the pliers so the bottom jaw of the pliers is in the loop. Pull the loop all the way around, and then we're going to wrap the loop by grasping the wire across, across, and then wrapping the rest of the wire around. And I'm just going to wrap right over what I did before to make my big messy wrap. And then I'm going to trim the end. There's our other little circle, flower circle there. And we're ready to do our bead dangle with our pearl. So we've got our head pin and our potato-shaped freshwater pearl. And we're ready to make a wrap loop in the top. So we're going to grasp the wire above the pearl, bend the wire 90 degrees, reposition the pliers to the top of that bend, pull the wire up and over the top jaw as far as it'll go, reposition the pliers so the bottom jaw is in the loop, and pull the wire around. And now I want to feed that onto my little flower and make sure that the loop is nestled in between the 3 beads. So there are 3 beads on either side. This part's a little bit tricky. You just kind of manhandle it. Get them in there. Nope, that's the wrong spot. So let me move it over a bead. There we go. That's the right spot. And now we can wrap this loop. And to do that, I'm going to grasp the loop across and pull the tail of the head pin wire around the neck and do another big messy wrap. And then I can just trim the end. I've got a little bit of a sticky outy wire there. And then we can just feed that onto our earring wire and nestle it down into the earring wire loop and press it closed. And now we've got a pretty pair of turquoise and pearl earrings.